Every year, countless families walk through hospital doors seeking answers.
Mommy, let me take it out.
And leave with a diagnosis that leaves them shattered. Leukemia, blood cancer, a disease that steals the young, the strong, the hopeful. In countries with resources, survival is possible. But here, survival often depends on a family's ability to raise thousands of dollars in a matter of weeks to fly across oceans for a chance to live. For many, that chance never comes. Behind every statistic is the face. A child who should have been in school. Families are forced to sell everything they own. Parents who watch helplessly as their savings vanish, yet cannot save their children. This is not just a medical crisis, it is a national crisis. For months, I have walked with these families, sat with mothers in hospital corridors, listened to the voices of doctors who know what to do, but lack the tools to do it. I have seen the tears, the resilience, and the silence that hides this battle. My name is Emmanuel Jiveno, and in this documentary, we tell you the story of Ghana's fight against leukemia.
If I had married and I had not given birth, oh, this woman has not given birth. And I gave birth to watch him for 4 years, to suffer. It felt like a bad joke on 1st April. It was like a very bad, terrible joke on 1st April. Of all the pranks on 1st April.
1st April was no prank for Elizabeth's family. For her, motherhood came with a gift. And then with grief. Her first child, Jason, was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia before his 2nd birthday. What followed was a 4-year battle. A battle that consumed every joy, every savings, and eventually, every breath.
No, you can't sit.
It started with what seemed like a common cold. A few blisters, a few bumps. But Elizabeth knew something was not right.
Okay. Jason was 1 year, 5 months when we found out that it was cancer that was disturbing him. But the very first presentation happened right after just some few days before lockdown. And he was around 6 months then. This was in 2020. Yeah, that was the very first presentation, but it happened just like a normal childhood disease. It was basically it looked like malaria and conjunctiva of the eye. So we took him to the hospital, we did the blood test, and they said nothing was wrong. There is this ant-like thing, it's a little bit hard. It feels like a boil. So she says, okay, we've given him 1 round of antibiotics, we can't repeat it, we have to wait for some time. So let's see if it goes on its own then. Yeah, it never went. It was beginning of a horror movie, I guess. So that little ant bite that on the buttocks would grow to become about 5 centimeters, 5-7 centimeters wide. And yeah, that would later on turn out to be a massive tumor.
The way blood diseases present, they sometimes present like the common diseases that we have, such as malaria. And so it's important to have a high index of suspicion so that you can point the person to the right place.
They've actually been misdiagnosed. They've gone round, and then suddenly somebody remembers that, oh, this could be a leukemia, and then does, further tests. And once the leukemia is diagnosed, they refer to these tertiary hospitals. First of all, it's a very difficult diagnosis it's difficult when you are breaking such a news to the family and then to the patient as well. Some of them quickly go on the internet to check what leukemia is all about. They are referred very late. Access to treatment can be delayed because of the late referral. And so what usually happens is that the cost of care becomes quite high.
Tuesday morning, I called the pathologist and they said the report is ready, but we would have to physically pick it up. So immediately I called a dispatch friend of mine and I said, can you go pick up this report? Because I don't think I can. So he goes, he brings the report, he gets to my house around 2:30. Just at the gate, I opened it. And I didn't even look at, I just looked at the comments. I looked at it and it said, a representation of diffuse non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I just said, Jesus. So I quickly came in and I said, Richie, a cancer.
Let me take it out. Let me take it out. Relax. Let me take it out. Don't mind them.
The diagnosis hits like a thunder. Treatments began in Ghana. Elizabeth put her career on hold. The family poured every cedi into drugs, scans, tests, and admissions.
The moment they said they are suspecting the leukemia, Dr. Tego says if it is a leukemia, then... So immediately she gets up and then she starts chasing the pathologist for the bone marrow results. She will go there, she will call the boss, they give her the runaround. And then finally she calls and she says, you know what, I can read the slides myself. If you are not ready, just let me come, have a look at the slides, see and count it myself. Or just, the report is not ready, I understand, but let's have a discussion. Tell me what it is. So she goes to the pathologist and then they do the sit down. She says, just let me see them. Then she looks at it and says, hallelujah, it's acute lymphoblastic.
And it often affects children, unfortunately. It doesn't mean that adults can get it, but it's commonest in children.
The National Health Insurance Scheme also doesn't cover the blood cancers. And so that makes it quite expensive. The lack of availability of some of the medications as well. And then, of course, there are certain novel drugs that are quite expensive. You can have one costing as high as 10,000 Ghana cedis and above. And so that also makes the treatment very high.
When Prof. Rena said she was suspecting leukemia, this doctor started calculating the protocol for leukemia, the first protocol. Apparently, it turns out they all have similar protocols. So she started calculating for acute lymphoblastic. Took this boy's weights, medications that we need for she started calculating everything in his book for whatever reason. So when Dr. Tego went and then got the reports and then called them that it is acute lymphoblastic, she said, I already have the calculations done, all we need to do is just start. So before she got to the ward, she had already done everything. And then she started with the steroids and then the water. They were like 4 steps way ahead before the reports. So she started with the steroids. And then they gave him Doxo, some pink, I think that one would come later. So they gave him the steroids. And then within 24 hours, Jason started breathing normally. By the second day, you couldn't even hear the rattling sound when he breathes. He was breathing normally. And then they started measuring the bumps that were on his body. It had started to shrink. I said, give the very first dose. And I said, so what next? She said, we pray. I said, we pray? She said, yes. We pray hard. I said, okay. If it works, within 3-4 weeks, you go back home. if it doesn't work, then we are in hellfire.
Against the odds, Jason responded. Chemotherapy shrunk the tumors. Blood donors rallied when his rare O negative blood ran out. For a moment, hope seemed within reach.
Got him off the medication for like close to a month, and the cancer found its way to come back slightly. So we moved from remission and we came back to 7%. So they had to give him another round of chemotherapy, high dose, to bring the disease under control, and then it worked again. So everything was great. Everything was really, really, really great. The disease was under control. He was doing well. The side effects were not bad. He was really tolerating it really, really well, and we're hopeful. So 2021 December was when he took his very high dose, the last of them, on the 15th of December, and I had his brother on the 14th of December. So we're happy, beginning of a new chapter.
But cancer is cruel. After 2 years, it returned. This time, hidden in Jason's testicles. The only option left, a bone marrow transplant abroad.
And she says, I am so sorry, but your options, bone marrow transplant. I said, is it not that bone marrow transplant that people are saying that it costs so much? How do you expect us to go and do a bone marrow transplant? It's not like we are now starting the treatment. If we were now starting it, maybe we would have gotten the money you're asking for. But after 2 years, cancer treatment is not cheap.
The world has moved on in terms of hematology, and now there are other treatment options which we cannot offer, such as bone marrow transplant. Very crucial. And so when people need it, they have to go outside the shores of Ghana at an expense, very expensive. You're away from family. You have to go and settle for maybe 6 months or more in a foreign land. And even when you come back, it's difficult to get the aftercare. So I think this is something that is very important, and as a nation, we should start looking at those treatment options.
The fight was no longer private. Social media carried Jason's story. Ordinary Ghanaians contributed 2 cedis, 5 cedis, and 20. The Rebecca Foundation, the FDA, and Corporate Ghana, they all joined. It became almost a nation's fight.
I remember I was making so many calls. And I'll call this person. I said, we would need about $100,000, not less. She says, we only have $5,000. She didn't even end. We only have $5,000. I said, madam, thank you. I'll take it. And this was Rebecca, the first lady's aide. Yes. She and the Rebecca Foundation gave me my very first seed. I know you cannot give me 1,000. Give me 20 cedis. These are my numbers. But I need to go to India immediately. My phone, it wasn't going off. It wasn't ping, 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 ping. The lights were just, that was how it was going. Ping, ping. The lights would go off. It was just like that, you see. And the phone was hot. The 20 cedis. Some people sent as much as 2 cedis.
It takes a lot of people, a lot of time to raise funds, and a lot of time to take people abroad, by which time sometimes it's too late, they can't find a match. The process, which is a very simple one, I understand, but a very highly technical one and needs to be done in a sterile environment, becomes too late.
Elizabeth wasted no time. With her 2-year-old on her back, she boarded her very first international flight, determined not to waste another day.
I said, I'm not waiting for anybody. I did my ticketing. Sharp, 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 sharp. Carried my son on my back that day. As to how I got the energy to walk through the airports, through immigration, and then go, only God knows. Will be mindful that I've never been to India.
India was cold, foreign, and overwhelming. But it was also the beginning of a new fight. Treatment started immediately and failed. The first line, then the second. each more brutal than the last. Then came a silver of hope. Jason's younger brother, barely 1 year old, was a full match for the transplant.
I remember the doctors asking me, do we have a donor? I said, I don't have a donor. But my little son, I have a little son. I was a half match, the dad was a half match. And by some divine intervention, they test this 1 year old and he's 100% full match to Jason. We start this medication and then they said, if he gets a seizure 2 times, we have to permanently stop the medication, which means we've come to the end of the road. I said, okay. We start. Barely 8 hours. The first hour he's okay, second he's okay, third, fourth. Then by the 6th hour he starts getting very warm. Then the 7th hour he's like 40 degrees, hot. And then we check the parameters. It was so high, it was just borderline to a place where we have to stop the medication permanently. So they look at it and they're like, okay, we are going to give a first dose. If it brings down the levels, then we'll continue. If it doesn't, then it's unfortunate we have to stop.
The bone marrow transplant went ahead, but Jason's blood count refused to rise. His platelets kept falling. Doctors warned it might be the end of the road. Still, Elizabeth searched, reading every article she could find.
One thing I noticed with the Indian doctors, they don't rubbish anything you bring. When I told her, I called her, I said, Doc, I read this article. It says that there are cases where they give FFP to people with TATMA and then they survived. And she says she's never come across that article. Can I share it? And I shared it. When I shared it, she got back to me and she was like, where did I find this article? I should send her all the links involved. So I went to the page, I saw it, I pushed the entire thing to her. It was a micro link in another link. And I kept clicking and I found that article. So I sent her the entire document. And then you realize she read it. In about 3 hours, the nurses comes to the room with 2 bags of FFP. Then they put it on Jason. Then I smiled and I'm like, Ghana, you want to go and tell a specialist that you've read an article and it sounds promising. And so she should, they will even slap you. But this woman read the entire article I sent her, saw that there was sense in it, and then immediately started, and that was a turning point. Immediately we started the FFP. Within 24 hours, we saw some levels coming up.
Against every odd, Jason's body began to respond. Platelets climbed, and bone marrow took roots.
So eventually, he starts producing platelets on his own after the FFP. And then day 30, day 35, he's solidly producing everything. Day 36 or so, they do the first points to see whether the bone marrow transplant has worked. They do it and he's about 98%. The new bone marrow they've put in his body, it's already at 98%. They just need 100% peak. And 98% is actually very good. So she looks at it and she's like, we've done it, we are there.
After months in sterile wards and endless bills, the verdict, the transplant had worked. Jason was discharged. At last, Elizabeth carried her son back home to Ghana.
Yeah, we are going.
That day, Jason had become so black because of the radiation. He was black. He had grown so lean. I said, JJ, they said we should go home. I said, going home. I put him in his up and down. And then he had this sandal that he used to wear because it's very lightweight. So I put him down from the bed. And then he said, let's go. And then he walked gently. That was the first time he had walked in almost a month and a half. He walked. And then he was trying to open the door and his brother was trying to, and then it started becoming push and shove. And I remember he opened the door, he got into the corridor. And then we told them we're leaving, and the nurses were like, they couldn't believe how far we have come. I didn't know how we're going to pay for aftercare. I didn't know what the future held, but I was happy to be out of that confinement after about 3.5, 4 months. I was just happy to be coming out.
You cannot see what's going on.
With help from sponsors, Elizabeth made the trip, broke, tired, and desperate. In Singapore, things only got harder.
They admit us. We're in a hotel. To the point that we're so broke to the point that we couldn't afford to pay our hotel bills. They sacked us from the hotel. I came back to come and prepare a meal for Jason. And our bags were outside the hotel. We had been Singapore, almost 2 years. Singapore. I didn't have anywhere to sleep. We didn't have any accommodation, absolutely nothing. So I put a word to the nurses on the ward that I don't have anywhere to sleep. And Singapore, if you don't have the right documentation, it's very difficult to live in Singapore. So one of the Filipinos, the nurses, they told me that they have somebody's contacts in billing. The person called, and then they got a single room, shared washroom. And I said, I will take it like that. And then they gave it to us. I think 1,700 is 1,400. 1,400. Then we bought ding. I think over $1,500 a month. The money that I don't have. So I called my sponsors and I told them that we found a place to sleep. Now the only problem is it's very expensive. I said, no, don't worry. We start Singapore. Kakran. Hey, first bill in Koba, $18,000. We were there for like 2 weeks.
Jason's body was failing. Treatment after treatment was not working. Medications were failing. The bills kept growing. Elizabeth was tired. Truly tired.
At the time, I had outstanding bill of almost $130,000. And I didn't know how we're going to pay that 100 and something. And it was still going, Singapore, if you do, that's like $10,000. It's like ridiculous. But you get exceptional care. Everything you need, you will get. I was sitting down, I was feeling frustrated. Make offer that 250,000. Where am I going to get it from? And you are asking me to pay by the 5th of February when I had like a week. How? So one day I was sitting by my son's bed, and mind you, a lot of that bill was being paid by Leukaemia Project Foundation. They had already sent $10,000 and then they sent another $10,000 again. So Leukaemia Project, I think, they paid almost, if I'm not lying, almost $40,000 for Jason.
I haven't been able to eat. I haven't been able to sleep. That's Jason. And like, I'm tired.
She went live on Facebook, not to beg, but to rant. Raw, emotional, drained.
I'm desperate. That's him. That is him lying there.
The internet responded fast. A viral campaign swept across social media. Sarkodie, Bellamundi, and hundreds more joined to help little Jason.
And I just clicked on live. And I started ranting that how is this fair? How do I have to go through everything like this only to come back and you're telling me I need more money? 10% I'm not tired though, but at this point there, even if you're not tired, you'll be tired. What can I do? I just put it off and I slept. Only to wake up the next day, somebody has taken that video. Pieced together Jason's first fundraiser we did. The pictures, my friend that did the flyer had done another flyer. And I don't know how they communicated. I don't know, till date, I don't know who did the video. Pieced everything together. My friend in UK had done the GoFundMe. It was still happy. The GoFundMe was still active. Even though she stopped it, she started it again. Before I woke up and said, hey, there was an active campaign on Facebook and Instagram going dig for Jason. Sarkodie was reposting, Martha Nkuma, Nashoko, Bellamundi. Bella is Jason's active fan. Bella was one person that she also kept tabs on us in India and in Singapore. It was amazing. People were like, everyone was on our case. Hey,
With enough money raised, they returned to the hospital, only to be told the doctors had voted against Jason.
And the moment you see those head of this, head of that, you know there's trouble. So I saw them, I got goosebumps. I said, God. Then they all came to the room. Elizabeth, we would like to talk to you. I said, okay. I just knew, I could feel it. So I went to the counseling room and they said, head of bone marrow, Dr. Susuyen, she says, Elizabeth, we've done every treatment that we know. It is simply not working because we've recently discovered that your son has a very rare type of leukemia, and this type of rare leukemia is almost always incurable, and even if we try, it will come back again and again and again and again. And even if we try, at this point we have tried like 4 medications, the strongest of the strongest medications we can find. The cancer cells keeps going up. They actually have to vote. And because it's free of charge, they have to consider another person in line who they feel the medication would be beneficial to. So they took a vote and it was 2 out of 1.
Jason returned to Ghana to spend his final days. 2 months later, his 4-year courageous battle came to a peaceful close, embraced by a nation that had walked every step of the fight with him.
He vomited and the top that he was wearing. And when I took off the top, I realized he had relaxed with his head like this. And I'm like, okay, the room is not too cold. So I opened the window small and I covered him with his favorite blankets up to the side. My mind didn't even register that he was dead. That was around 1. It didn't register, say, oh yeah, help me, mommy. Then he did this. It didn't even click. I knew he was gone, I just couldn't process it. I just covered him, straightened his head. And then I went to sit on the other bed and I just lay down. And I slept for like 30 minutes and I woke up. JJ, anytime I'm in hospital with him and I go like, JJ, and he says, then I'll continue whatever I'm doing. JJ, the same position I left him. And I put my heart on his heart. I didn't feel anything. And I lifted the cloth. That was the final thing I did. His stomach was not rising or falling. I just covered him again. And there's this enzima thing my mom used. My mom says, Jacodio. And I said, Marshall, Jacodio. Because I had to have prayer. Because and then I went out of the ward. And then I did. And then the doctor did this. And then they came. When they came, I wasn't crying. I was just sitting down quietly. And I said, Doc, do what you need to do. So the doctor did this. And one lady doctor, she came to stand by him and then she used the stats. And then she took the documentation. And then they took off the time of death. I never thought. Sanka, if I had married and I had not given birth, oh, this woman has not given birth. And I gave birth to watch him for 4 years, to suffer. It felt like a bad joke on 1st April. It was like a very bad, terrible joke on 1st April. of all the pranks on 1st April, that's all.
But Jason was not the only child fighting this unseen enemy. Across Ghana, other mothers were facing the same nightmare, watching their children fade, powerless, against a disease few even understood.
We were friends.
She holds onto her phone as if it carries the breath of her daughter. Every clip, every chat,
Life.
every smile frozen in video are all she has left. This is how Golightly Thompson remembers her sunshine, her only child for 10 years. Her name was Lisa Lai.
Hello, mommy.
Hello, Mommy.
Happy birthday, sweetie.
Thank you.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, hearing. Wow.
She was only 10 years, bright,
Yes, mommy.
excelling in school, dreaming of becoming a doctor.
On the 31st of October, she went to school. She went for career day. Throughout the week, she was writing her midterm test. So 1st November, they went to Kolebu ENT department. And then she called me around 2 p.m. to tell me, Mommy, the doctors are saying they are going to admit me. And I said, oh, how? For cold?
Her sickness began like any other. A cold, a little tiredness, nothing unusual.
Finally, the beautiful girl is smiling.
My baby girl.
Mona, you're smiling. You look good.
But within days, the word oncology entered her life.
Our plan is to go to
The diagnosis? Stage 4 blood and bone marrow cancer, leukemia.
I didn't know the specific cancer that she was suffering from. So, Monday, her doctors told me they were suspecting cancer. I prayed. I was just hopeful. I had faith that God could turn things around. And then first we ran various tests, and then it came out that she had stage 4 cancer of the blood and bone marrow. I was like, leukemia. How? Why? We don't know why. And we get asked all the time, we don't know why. Why the mutations occur and why the manifestation as leukemia. There are some risk factors. A factor that you would have that might enhance the probability that you get a disease.
Genetic factors play a role as well. Okay. Certain chromosomal abnormalities come in. Things like chemicals, if you've been exposed to a lot of radiation. So many things come into play.
Leukemia is a disease I've only heard of it in movies. And whenever they tell you someone has leukemia in a movie, it means the person is dying. So I was scared. I was very scared. And then it was in stage 1, it was in stage 2, not 3 but 4. And they were like, it's end stage. So we had to act fast. I was devastated.
If it's caught early, by that time, although the disease might have affected the bone marrow, which is important in producing the red cells, normal white cells that we need to live. If it's caught early, then the person's bone marrow function probably wouldn't have been compromised so much, and therefore treating them wouldn't be as difficult as the person who comes in flat out. Red cells are not there, platelets are not there, and treating them would require a lot more than the one who comes in a little earlier.
The doctors told Lisa's family her only chance was treatment abroad. The cost of treatment in South Africa was staggering, over $110,000. For weeks, the family begged for support. Every CD counted, but hope was slipping away.
You know, the first day, I thought the doctor said we needed $10,000. So I was like, okay, 10,000 is fine. We can come up with that. So I quickly went to Numbu's Motors. It's somewhere around Jowulu, and then I was like, say, I want to sell my Kia. I want to sell this Kia Sportage. And then the man was like, oh, he was going to give me 150,000. I was like, oh, okay, and then that's fine. So I came back, and then I was like, oh, dog, I think the money, we are almost done raising. And then she was like, how much did you hear? Like 10,000. She said no. I said not less than 110,000 US dollars. And then the CD as at that time to the dollar was 17. So I did my calculation, and we needed more than 1.9 million Ghana cedis. Where am I going to get such an amount? I didn't know where help was going to come from. The day Mr. Ibrahim Mahama came through, that day I had lost hope. I thought that was it. I thought my baby was going to die. I didn't know what to expect the following day. He was on the phone with the doctors in South Africa, like he had done everything. So he was like, I want you people to leave Ghana by Thursday. It was a Tuesday. I was like, hey, just like that.
Leukemia Project Foundation thinks that if there is a place here, first of all, there are few things that will be cut out: cost and time. You know, if your match is in Ghana, you don't have to fly your match alongside with you to Singapore and other places to do a transplant. If the process is here, probably there'll be increased research, and there'll be early diagnosis, and in anything else, when it's early, you have time to deal with it. So hence the center being established.
So we need a center special for leukemia patients, a center where even among the leukemia patients, we can have a place where we do something called barrier nursing, where we do aseptic techniques, basically to make sure that anything that is infectious is not carried into where the leukemia patient who is immunocompromised may be lying.
For the very first time, hope returned. Lisa was flown out of Accra. She left Ghana with dreams as bright as the sun.
She's excited. She's looking forward to the treatment. She wants to go back to school. So she's very happy and very optimistic. She wants to be a pediatrician in future. And now, after her diagnosis and all, she wants to be a pediatric oncologist. Yes, please. Because she would love to save kids from cancer. We thought cancer wasn't curable, but now we know cancer is curable, and she wants to take care of kids in future that might have cancer.
Lisa wished to be a doctor, an oncologist to help children like her. But that dream was cut short in South Africa. Lisa never returned home alive.
Can I be truthful? I said, yes, feel free. Okay. So Lisa might go any moment from now. I want you to be by her side. And I want you to talk to her. I want you to spend her last moments with her. And I asked her, who told you it's her last moment? And she said, because it's my job. I know. I told her, no, it's not my baby's last moment. Today, December 19th. My child will not die.
19th December 2024, Lisa's fight against leukemia ended.
I told them, no. You see, I won't listen to you people. You people will not counsel me.
You see that girl there? She won't die. I kept telling them she would live to declare the words of God concerning her life. They were like, Madam, we know what we are talking about. I said, no, I also know the God I serve. And they were like, please, exercise patience. I said, no, I won't accept defeat. And then I will turn to one of them. My God is a God of possibilities. Do you know my God? So at a point, they felt as though I was losing it.
Lisa's story ended before her time. But in towns far from Accra, the battle was no different. Poverty and distance made the fight even harder, as Amma Fosua soon discovered. For months, Amma Fosua has watched her son's life fade before her very own eyes. She has nothing, not even enough to eat. Yet, she spends every day here at his bedside in the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Her son was the breadwinner of the family. Now, he lies here, gasping for air. His body losing the battle against leukemia.
Why are you 6 months? I arrived na hospital. About half I na hospital. What bomujama? Mujana kugunu man. Why didn't you? The man asked him, "Baby, say by abosumi yaba des na hospital by abosumi kuni. Abo meje tumpedu wadama. Wanye na hospital fun. Wasi amfama waba me scam me ba ha me scam te no so da wana mweje na ayo na ha. The hospital fun wara wo bo ahe. So ma me fa no ko na ekro be. I'm me school. The hospital fun no war formulas no what science so what this can ya day man fanamla the had the yaba maybe sibia obey see ya bay in the now yaba my yabe wa abu moja na yama still I feel answering you want to if you need the be share name fi wa am block right mesumi iske mo am wasem menka pa mebusa afo mo bo moja on fama mesumi bi ebusuafo ya o akwantum na we neba oba neba be me so keto abi na obobo moje ma na papa we square o science na yiro so oboko na obi me so obobo koko ma he nti yam wade o de wase mo be yam me yam homwa de so beta po a homwa ma onye moje na na okoba oye bibia.
For acute myeloid leukemia, it's a difficult one. So myself, if I see a patient, I make a diagnosis of a patient with acute myeloid leukemia, it's difficult for me, but we counsel them. I've had one patient who, after counseling, decided he wasn't going to have treatment. He would rather save whatever money he had for the family. So it can be very difficult. But if there was the facility and money from foundations, etc., I'm sure that decision wouldn't have been taken lightly.
With leukemia, the very factory of life, the bone marrow, stops working as it should. Red cells, white cells, platelets all begin to fail. Patients grow weaker, infections may set in, and bleeding becomes uncontrollable. Without urgent treatment, the body cannot survive.
Every person who has blood cancer, because it affects the bone marrow, the person comes in with anemia, the person comes in with neutropenia, the person comes in with thrombocytopenia. And with anemia, the person will have a low HB, feeling dizzy, headaches, and all that. And with the white cells, the person comes in with recurrent infections. And then with issues with the platelets, the person will be bleeding from the gums and then bleeding under the skin and so many things. If you, in case you have a patient at the Western region and that person is bleeding heavily, maybe the leukemia may not kill the person now, but the person is bleeding heavily from the nose or from the mouth, and you need platelet concentrate correct this deficiency. We now have to order from Accra, and then Accra will tell us that, okay, they've now gone for the blood, they are now about to separate it. It may take some few days. By the time it crosses over from Cape Coast to Western region, the person is already dead because of the blood that the person lost and probably has bled into the head or something.
Other things that don't help is that the high mortality rate. I mean, doctors are human beings, so there are few specialists in that area. If you're a young specialist trying to study hematology and you see all these fatalities, all these how do you call it, unsuccessful cases, I don't know how they feel. I mean, sitting behind, I feel worse. So there's just numerous and number of reasons why we probably haven't gotten there. But in other jurisdictions, there are cures. Just that in our jurisdiction, it's expensive. We don't have it, and it does not mean that it's impossible. And that's what we're doing.
The incidence is rising, and it's affecting young adults, people who can give their quota in terms of nation building. Young families who have small children, you might have the breadwinner having leukemia.
Okay. Malaria. So by saying malaria.
Just a day after this interview, Ahmed's son died. The man she depended on, gone.
For my patients that I see, it's very, very sad. Some of them come initially with relatives. Then later on, once the relatives realize that the costs that are going to be incurred is increasing, now it's just that person who comes. The person comes to tell you that I can't afford today's treatment, or I can't do this. By the time you see the person the next time, the person is at the emergency and dies within hours.
For some families, leukemia means only loss. But there are several stories of survival too.
When I heard those words, I felt my life has turned upside down. At first, I told my dad I won't take that medicine because I know for cancer, you can't survive. I know you can cure it, but you can't survive. So I told him I won't take any medicine. I just want to go home. What can come. That's what I told my dad. So that time, that was I couldn't take it though, but I have to accept it. Yeah, I cried. I cried for my dad to cry. Yeah. Even the doctor was emotional because the way I was crying, I wasn't expecting it.
Vanessa, not her real name, is 22 years old. For her, survival came with a price and with pain. It began with a swelling on her neck. Doctors first said it was normal, but later tests revealed something else.
They gave me a referral letter to Cape Coast to see a hematologist. So I went there. I went to Cape Coast. That's where it started. I went to Cape Coast. I went to see the doctor, and he explained everything to me into details. That it's a chronic lymphatic leukemia. It's a chronic lymphatic leukemia, and it requires a lot. But God being so good, mine was early detection. But still, I have to treat it here, so that it won't come again.
Her best hope was chemotherapy, but survival came with a staggering price tag.
It was difficult because my dad is just a building constructor. It's not a company. Yeah, he just go for that. Is it day by day? Yeah, that one. And my mom too is a trader. Yeah. So it was hard. It It was hard because sometimes even by 1 week, my dad would be in the house. So that period, how we get the money? So it was tough time. So I started chemo treatment. Chemo, yeah. And that too, it really cost a lot. So he asked me to go and do inquiries about the medicine so I can afford and continue the treatment. So I went, and the medicine one was 4,500 for one, and I have to buy 6. The maximum is 6. So if I finish the treatment and still I'm getting those issues, I have to continue with another 6. Yeah. So I started the chemo treatment that day. That day we couldn't afford the 4,500, but it was optional. So they gave me some antibiotics and some medicines. Yeah. So I started with that one for the first day. So the second meeting, then I went for the chemo medicine. Yeah.
Vanessa is alive. Her blood counts are improving. She is in remission. For her, early detection made the difference.
What I've been through, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Yeah. So for now, I can say I'm fine. My last review, they told me I'm fine, and my blood is even increasing. When I started, it was 8 something, but now I'm 14. So it has increased, so I'm fine. They told me I don't have the thing in my blood again when I go to 5th. Whilst I'm doing the treatment, yeah. When I go to the 5th one for my last review, and that too, I was fine. That's why they told me my blood has increased, so everything is fine. Yeah.
Vanessa's story shows that survival is possible. Today, the Leukemia Project Foundation is rallying corporate Ghana, indeed the entire nation, to establish West Africa's first center for hematology and genetics, all in a bid to give patients a fighting chance. Leading this charge is the foundation's president, Gerald Hilariose Boachi. He carries the weight of 5 friends, all gone, their faces etched in his memory, their dreams cut short. As he speaks, the tears fall freely.
All my 5 friends that passed, or people that went, are from corporate Ghana. You know, and these were specialists in their fields. So it's no brainer for corporate Ghana not to get involved. Not at all. It is a must for us. We would have money for so many other things, which might be personally important and everything. But money for something that would have a national impact, sub-regional impact, and probably for the whole continent is something. I mean, for now, the closest we go is South Africa, and we haven't had that much survival rates from South Africa because of time, cost, and everything that you can think of.
A center like that will reduce the need to travel and have expensive treatment abroad. Training and research, you will have more hematologists being trained who are specialized in bone marrow transplant. And so you can have them all over the country. And that would definitely help. Patients won't have to travel from the northern part of the country to the southern part just for treatment.
If we can have the necessary infrastructure, that would really give people living with hematological disorders quality care in a congenial environment and with some dignity. Apart from that, a lot of research have been conducted among Caucasians, but Africans, we don't have our story. So even sometimes the drugs that are on the market, the clinical trials have been done on Caucasians, but not on Africans. And so as to whether it will also work in Africans, one we don't know. So I think if we have a center well equipped, then we'll be able to attract some research, and then we can also be able to tell our story.
The structure can come, but it has to be a self-sustaining community in that structure. So are we really ready for that conversation? I think we are. Because if we can go to somebody else's country to spend $70,000 or more, that amount of money can be used to build that structure. That expertise that we need, we can bring them here. So yeah, I think it's a conversation we should start having now.
The mothers, the doctors, the survivors, all their voices rise to a single truth. Ghana must build its own center, not just to treat, but to save lives that are being lost each day.
An everlasting solution, a more sustainable solution would be to have a center here in Ghana and West Africa where we can put in the resources to properly manage and cure this disorder and other related disorders. You see, it's not just the leukemia, sickle cell, there are other connected disorders. So in short, I would say we just have a one vision or mission objective or whatever it is to establish the Hematology and the Clinical Genetics Center in Korle Bu. In Korle Bu because it has to be in an environment where there are other medical support. So that again, we're talking about cutting short the period of diagnosis and cure. It is in an established center. You have the support of all the other specialists. And then hopefully we would have reduced that time in attending to people.
It's not a death sentence. With the right treatment, you definitely will do very well.
They were children with dreams, parents with unshakable love, survivors who carry scars as proof of their fight. Jason, Lisa, Ahmed's son, Vanessa, their stories are not isolated. They are warnings that without urgent action, tomorrow will steal more lives. That no child should die simply because the medicine, the machines, the marrow are out of reach. The tears have been shed. Now the question is, what will we do? Because tomorrow's future depends on today's decision. Ghana must build the Center for Hematology and Clinical Genetics. And the time is now.